Today we're diving into the world of leases. The three main topics we'll be covering are lease types, typical lease terms or jargon, and lease clauses. Having a full understanding of the lease documentation and what each party is agreeing to sets you up for success so you avoid any costly headaches or mistakes down the road. Alright, let's kick things off with the different types of commercial real estate leases. This is where we separate what is a gross rate from the net rate and everything in between. Are you ready? Let's dive in. First up, we have the gross lease, also known as a full service lease. In this type of lease, the landlord covers all the operating expenses, including taxes, insurance, and maintenance. You, as the tenant, simply pay a fixed rent. Pros for the tenants: predictable monthly costs without surprise expenses. Cons: the total rent might be higher since the landlord is covering all the extra costs. Next, we have the net lease, which comes in three flavors: single net, double net, and triple net. A single net lease: the tenant pays base rent plus a portion of one of these expenses: property taxes, insurance, or common area maintenance. Double net lease: tenant covers base rent and two of the three nets. The three nets, in case you need a reminder, are property taxes, CAM, and insurance. A triple net lease: tenant pays base rent plus all three nets. Pros for the tenants: lower base rent compared to gross leases. Cons are responsibility for additional expenses. Now let's talk about the modified gross lease. This one is a hybrid. The tenant and landlord share the operating expenses. Typically, the tenant pays a base rent plus a portion of expenses and or utilities. The pros for the tenants: more predictable costs than net leases. The cons are slightly higher base rent. Up next is the percentage lease. This is common in retail. It involves paying a base rent plus a percentage of gross sales. The pros for the tenants: usually there is a lower base rent and rent payments tied to business performance. The cons are higher overall costs if sales are high. Lastly, we have the ground lease. Here the tenant leases the land and builds on it, while the landlord retains ownership of the land. The pros for the tenants: long-term control over the property development. The cons are high initial investment in construction. And there you have it, a quick tour of the main types of commercial real estate leases. Each has its own unique characteristics, pros and cons. The best choice depends on your specific needs and situation. Next, we'll break down the key terms you need to know in these leases. Stay tuned. All right, now that we've got a handle on the types of commercial leases, let's talk about the key terms you'll encounter in these documents. Understanding these terms is crucial to making informed decisions. So let's get into it. First up, we have base rent. This is the fixed amount you pay regularly, usually monthly, for the use of the space. Think of it as the foundation of your lease payments. Next is common area maintenance, or CAM. CAM charges cover the costs of maintaining shared spaces like lobbies, hallways, and parking lots. You pay for your pro rata share of these expenses. These are expenses that are divided among all the tenants in a building. Operating expenses. These include CAM charges, but also extend to personal property taxes, liability insurance, and utilities. These expenses can significantly impact your total lease cost. Rent abatement is a term you'll love. It refers to a period during which you don't have to pay rent, often used as an incentive to sign a lease or during property renovation. Then we have the security deposit. This is money paid up front to cover any potential damage or missed rent. Think of it as a landlord safety net. This amount is returned to you when your lease ends. Lease term and renewal options. These are crucial. The lease term is the length of your lease, while renewal options allow you to extend the lease beyond the initial term, often under predetermined conditions. And there you have it, the key terms you need to know in a commercial real estate lease. Understanding these will help you navigate your lease with confidence. Next, we'll dive into the important sections or clauses of a commercial real estate lease. Stay with us. First up is the premises clause. This section clearly defines the space you're renting, including boundaries, square footage, and any exclusions. Make sure this matches your understanding of the space you'll be using. Next, the use clause. This part specifies what activities you can conduct in the space. If you're planning to operate a bakery, make sure the lease doesn't restrict food production. Then we have maintenance and repairs. This clause outlines who is responsible for and maintaining and repairing the premises. Tenants usually handle the minor fixes while landlords take care of the major structural issues in the parking lot. The alterations and improvements section details what changes you can make to the space. Want to remodel your office? Check this clause first to see what's allowed and what permissions you need. Alterations are usually permitted if you get the landlord's written permission first. Insurance requirements. This ensures both parties have adequate coverage. This includes property insurance, liability insurance, and sometimes business interruption insurance. Subleasing and assignment clauses. These dictate whether you can rent out your space to another party or transfer the lease entirely. This is crucial if your business needs change and you need to move out early. Default and remedies. These explain what happens if either party breaches the lease terms. This section covers penalties, eviction processes, and the remedies available to both parties. And finally, the dispute resolution section covers how conflicts will be resolved, often through mediation or arbitration. This can save both parties time and money compared to going to court. Understanding these sections will help you navigate your lease with confidence and ensure you're getting a fair deal. Next up, we'll share some expert tips and best practices for negotiating your lease. Stick around. Now that you're familiar with the key terms and important sections of a commercial real estate lease, let's get into some expert tips and best practices to help you negotiate the best deal. First and foremost, always use a commercial real estate broker who represents you, the tenant. A tenant rep broker knows the market, understands the nuances of lease terms, and can negotiate fiercely on your behalf. This can save you both time and money and ensure that you get the best possible deal. Negotiate for rent abatement. If the space needs significant improvements or if you're signing a long-term lease, ask for a period of free or reduced rent. This can provide crucial financial relief, especially in the early stages of your lease term. The commercial broker you're working with will have guidance on this. Understand escalation clauses. Make sure you know how and when your rent will increase. Depending on the length of your lease term and size of space, you can negotiate caps on these increases to avoid unexpected hikes. Review maintenance responsibilities carefully. Knowing who is responsible for what will eliminate any surprises in the future. Look for flexibility in your lease term. If you're unsure about your long-term needs, try to negotiate for shorter lease terms with renewal options. And finally, consult with a real estate attorney if you'd like. Before signing anything, you can have a lawyer review the lease. They can spot potential issues and ensure your interests are protected. Following these expert tips and best practices can help you secure a lease that meets your business needs and provides peace of mind. Now, a recap of what we've learned. We've covered the types of commercial real estate leases, key terms, important sections, and some expert tips and best practices to help you navigate your lease like a pro. Remember, understanding your lease inside and out can save you time, money, and a lot of headaches. And don't forget the value of working with a tenant rep broker to guide you through the process. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insights and tips on commercial real estate. Thanks for watching and good luck with your leasing journey. See you next time.